Hi, my name is Ashwin, and I'm going to talk about what I do when I engage on to certain operations. First of all, my main task when I'm engaged onto an operation is to find what kind of operation that is. First of all, to understand that properly, what I basically do is I try to figure out the reasons why that particular operation exists, and basically this is going to answer the reason for the why that particular operation exists. Once I know the reasons why that particular operation exists, then I try to find what are these things, what do they do, or how do they tackle that particular reasons. So I look at is what are the techniques that the operations can follow, or I would also look at what are the techniques that they are currently following, and if I actually can look at a better technique, I put them onto the suggestion list. And then once I know the reason and why and how they're going to do it, I also would like to know the basically the goals on how do they do it, or why do they do it in that particular technique. I try to list out the goals, and also whenever you're doing any activity, there is a reason that you need to have a process in place. And when we have these two things available to us, I try to combine them and basically gel them into a task. Basically, I document them together. That is, this particular goal will be achieved by following this particular task, and I call it task work group. And this is going to be more or less like a rule which actually tells, hey, if this particular task is going to happen, these are the goals that I'm going to fulfill, and these are the process that I'm trying to complete with it. And then when I look at these task work group, I can actually create a different task, individual task that is going to have so many individual characteristics. Like, say, for example, it will have its own categorization, it will have its own priority to set, and it will have certain resources assigned to it. You might also want to see if there is a particular asset assigned to it. Also, we can actually look at the scheduling part of it. And there could be possible there are associated other tasks onto that particular task. So there could be more than one associations. And this is basically how generally an activity happens. What I do is when I document this, I try to put all of these inside a particular, I basically bind it and call it a matrix. And now metrics is basically going to have reasons which share a common agenda. So it could be possible that you might have an operations and you need multiple metrics to look at the different dimensions of your operations. So I actually this seems to be quite a good idea when you talk, and I actually have a utility that I created, that is NXG IT Ops, which exactly does these things, and it makes my life much more easier. It actually organizes it, and I have it right in front of me right now. So if I look at these as one of the example, like let me go back to the metrics, and I have one of the metrics here. This is basically an attack matrix. The goal or agenda of this matrix is to define particular different attacks that are going on. And then if I look at the brute force attack, it basically has certain CI elements attached to it, like what other platforms that this can actually attach and things like that. You can add more CI based on your requirements. Now, if you, I can even document certain, associated example attacks which has so far happened in the real world. Like if I go into the documentation of it, it shows like that. I mean, the reason for that is so that we have certain KB articles or documentations available. This is an attack, that's why it is showing in this format. But if you're more talking about an operation, we will probably need it more on a KB article style and things like that. And then I have so many process attached to it. Let's say, for example, this is the process that I'm going to follow whenever a brute force attack comes up on the organization. I have certain task work group assigned, created, which is going to bind the above mentioned process and the goals that are here. And if I go into the task, I can see that these are the tasks that I created on top of it, and I could see that it is pretty much defined on the top. You get to know everything about the particular task. And if I go into these breadcrumb, I can see that what all stages that this task went through. And if I only want to read about that particular stage, you can click on these. And if at the end, I have also added certain lessons learned from these particular task, and then it basically documents up here. And if you see on the top, it actually says what is the current stage and what is the status of this particular ticket. Now, this is the way I use. This is the tools that I use when I'm engaged on to automating or making sure to take care of the operations in a better way than that is currently. I uh, generally use the tools because it's very difficult to manage or document them or maintain them if there is no tool available. And I had to create this tool because there was no tool available in the market, which was actually helping me do this. So this is the way I do it. And also another thing which I look at is when I look into my system can actually create reports based on the categorization and things like that. And I know that a particular task is coming up in your organization too often, then I basically would be putting up a suggestion of automating that particular task. So it's like if the same task is happening over and over, the option is you need to choose an automation option. Maybe you can actually use a C#, or it can be a partial automation, or it can be done using a Python script. So I look forward to talk to you. If there is anything that I can help you make your operation better, let's take a look at it and then take it forward. And thank you. Have a nice day.